Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ryan, and today I'm joined by
Dave,
Ted,
and today we're going to take a look at the Unearthed Arcana, The Faithful.
jump down in the description below where you can find Nerdarchy, the newsletter, where you can gain weekly tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we have some cool stuff in this week's Unearthed Arcana.
So the concept is faith, religion, worship, and arcane casters.
It's really about turning arcane casters into divine casters or quasi-divine casters is really what it comes down to.
I don't feel that way. I mean, there's two of them. So there's one for the warlock and one for the mage, for the wizard. For the wizard, absolutely. Mm-hmm. For the warlock, I don't think so. You get some abilities, but nothing really screams divine to me. It's interesting and cool as a source, but I don't like. The one thing I will say, it's almost like a bunch of the abilities of our warlock otherworldly patron, the Seeker, is almost based off of the cleric spell Sanctuary. But other than that, it's kind of cool. It's kind of flavorful. And I kind of like the idea of like a deity's granting you power not as a cleric, but as a warlock because you made a deal with them. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, we've discussed that a little bit in the past.
Right.
And I feel like that's a fairly common trope in mythology and different folklore tales.
Like, I'm not worshiping you. I'm just trying to get a little.
This is a bargain.
Yes.
Yeah. You do X or give me X, and I give you Y. You know. So that's kind of how it works. So. We also get another pack boon, Pact of the Star Chain, which I really like it, but it kind of made it sound like that it's specific to the Seeker.
Because it says a third level character dedicated to the Seeker can select this option instead of one of the other pack boon options.
I mean, you could reskin this, reflavor it to be something related to, it could be like the smoldering chain for the Pact of the Demon, or what's the demonic one? What's it called?
Fiend
for the Pact of the Fiend. It could be like this smoldering, like rough-hewn chain that looks like it's been half melted or whatever. Well, so you could,
what?
Unholy knowledge.
You know what it kind of made me think of when I read the description? Mm-hmm. It made me think of Wheel and Woe or the Fates, the Norns.
Right.
So I kind of feel like this could be reflavored however you want.
Yeah.
And it could be chains, or it could be a cloth, or it could be anything that kind of has that kind of like feel.
A crystal ball, or whatever.
The object. I don't think the object is as important.
Yeah. It's
symbology.
Yeah, it's just what the suite of abilities are. Maybe it's like an eye that you have, which would be good for the Great Old One.
Oh yeah,
it's and I feel like it's a better boon than Pack of the Chains. Like I feel like anyone that takes Pack of the Chains, it's like more for flavor than anything.
Right.
I don't know. Having a familiar, as long as it's not the sprite. The other familiars are pretty decent, especially when
like a cat or a spider.
Well, when you have the pseudo dragon, yes, a cat is better than a sprite. But if you have a pseudo dragon or an imp, having that damn thing perched on your shoulder gives you resistance to spells. You have
advantage on resistance.
You have advantage on saving throws plus all the perks that come with having a familiar.
Well, here's a caveat to that: you don't actually have to be Pack of the Chains to do that.
It's true.
And mechanically, it's built in, so you automatically get it. But if you have the ability to get a familiar, and you can encounter those creatures, you can kind of still get that.
Except for I don't know what warlock takes Find Familiar as one of their spells, unless they're just going to use their Eldritch Blast cantrip and not actually.
It's a ritual spell.
You could take Ritualist. You could take a level of Wizard.
I guess you could. A Ritual Caster would probably, I guess, be the way.
And if you have Pack of the Tome, you're the best Ritual Caster in the game. So you technically have Find Familiar if you want it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you can get it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But the Seeker has some other abilities. Obviously, it gets the expanded spell list, so it adds some new spells to your selection.
Well, I mean, all the patrons do that.
Yeah, obviously, it's a warlock. Then here is the one that's a bit controversial here in Nerdarchy. We've had some discussion back and forth, a little wrestling over it, I think. Shielding Aura. So starting at first level, You can invoke the Seeker's power to protect you from harm. As a bonus action, you create a whirling aura of brilliant energy that swirls around you until the end of your next turn. You gain resistance to all damage. And if hostile creatures ends its turn within 10 feet of you, it takes radiant damage equal to Warlock level plus Charisma modifier. Once you use this, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. That's a pretty nice ability.
Right, so as a first level ability from essentially an arcane casting class, the point of contention here is I think Dave's on one side, Ryan's in the other, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth in the middle. Just the ability to get resistance to all types of damage is incredible. At first level, it's not an amazing, because if multiple things are attacking you, you're probably going down anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
But as your levels scale, you've got the ability to really exploit that. Okay, well, I'm just gonna stand in the middle of everything and have everything in a 10-foot radius taking damage to me for that entire round, and I'm going to be able to suck up the hit points because I'm taking half everything.
Yeah.
A barbarian can do this a lot.
Yeah. Well,
But he's not an arcane caster.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was thinking about a barbarian, like if you did like a barbarian blade lock multi-class, like so you have the hit points, like basically you go out to like trounce things, you activate this, and you still get all your attacks because this is a bonus action to activate.
Yeah, but a barbarian rages and takes half damage anyway, and everyone takes the totem of the bear for half damage on everything but psychic damage.
Yeah, everything but psychic.
And basically rage lasts as long as the encounter lasts. This lasts a round, and you really do have to pick and choose when you fire it off, because if you fire it off at the wrong time, that resistance might mean nothing because you took no damage, or like you stated, you took too much and it doesn't matter anyway. What it really did is it saved you from being wiped completely.
Okay, so the one thing that this really does do is that if you're
makes Nerdarchy argue with each other.
If you're a 20th level warlock, you could effectively make a whole gaggle of things within a 10-foot radius take 25 points of damage.
And at a 20th level,
as a bonus action, like so, like if you're in like a room that like things are kind of surrounding you at that point, and like there's not a lot of room to maneuver because how the encounter is set up.
Look, man, after the mage just meteor swarms you for 40 die 6, 25 points is the kind of tickles.
Yeah, but except for this is just a thing you like activate on a whim. Like it's a bonus action to do. It's a bonus action. It doesn't cost you fucking anything.
No, a whim would be a reaction. If it was a reaction, I would totally agree that this is way too powerful. But as a bonus action,
you have to do it on your turn
and know when to do it.
It presents it. It has a physical manifestation, so the creatures in the area have the ability to react to it. They can
choose to not attack you.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, they can attack and then leave, and you're only going to get one swing at them. So if there's 15 things around you, they swing at you and then back off. They don't take the damage.
And let's face it, you look like you're going nuclear.
Yeah.
When you activate it, you have swirling arcane energy around you going, like, normal creatures are gonna be like, what is going on?
I actually see it more as like the swirling energy and then like like the angelic singing in the background.
Oh, maybe they all just start getting out their Bibles and reading along. I don't know.
I agree that the resistance as a first level ability is by itself good enough. To lump on damage on top of it, that's just icing on the cake. I don't feel the need, but as you look at it, the difference between first level and 25th or 20th level, that 4 to 25 points of damage, it's marginal. You talked about it, as the monster scale.
You know what? I talked about it in the context of it is the best warlock ability in the game.
Yeah, and I will agree.
That's just it's saying something when you create an ancillary, like that's what this is power creep. Like that's because then it's just like, well, I can't make an ability better than this, or maybe I do in the next iteration of a design.
Right.
So, I mean, Pack of the Great Old One, you get telepathy at will. So
it's a ribbon ability. It really is a ribbon ability.
But what is going to be more useful overall? This is a straight combat ability,
one use,
that you're going to use once every short rest. Whereas the ribbon ability, telepathy, has a wide range of possibilities. It's like, okay, well, we're on a stealth mission. I need to inform someone. I can just talk to their brain.
Yeah, but I mean, so you have to become like a relay, which is going to take time. Like the Great Old One ability is a cool role playing ability. But other than that, like, it's not. Like, there are going to be those nuanced uses, of course, but I think it's more of an interesting RP choice than this one ability here.
And then I don't know, Pack of the Fiend, isn't that when you get the kill, you get temporary hit points? That's pretty good.
Sure, if you're the one to get the kill. Like, it's
Eldritch Blast. It's not really out of the realm of possibility.
It is as situational as this ability is. Like, I mean,
which would make them equal.
Yeah.
And
except for this is more powerful.
I don't think so. You don't have to get hit to use theirs. Like, you don't have to put yourself in danger. You can do it from a safe place.
The only thing about this is it is really built for the blade lock. Like the other warlocks are, if you're in the range of where this is going, shielding Aurora is going to come into play, you're probably scarily playing the warlock wrong at that moment unless you're the blade lock.
Then there's what do you get for the Phaelok gets that's like just the charm, the beguile thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
that one's pretty handy as well. Like,
so I was gonna say I feel like that's less useful. Like, I don't think it lasts as long, right? I'll have to relook at that one.
Yeah.
We haven't had many Phaeloks in our game. But overall, I would allow it in my game. I don't think it's that big a deal. I think it's as good as the Fiend Pact first level ability.
I would agree with Ryan. Looking at it, it does speak to the power creep, but not as much as Ryan thinks it does. My opinion.
Your opinion.
So midway.
Yep.
So the pack, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but we get a new pack boon.
Yep. Star Chains.
The Star Chains, which does something cool, which I don't remember what it does now, even though I just read it.
Augury as a ritual, and then also once per short rest you get advantage on an intelligence check. So which is going to be your knowledge checks or something like that, or investigation maybe.
Oh yeah. So I think that's really cool. I mean, I don't know. Is it as good as being able to summon a magic weapon, or or an imp, or Pack of Tomes, which is really is a really good ability.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I like the flavor. I like the feel for it. If you're trying to build that character that is a seer, like, this is a really cool pack.
Or like an investigator, like a divine arcane, like conduit investigator type that goes around and looks into things. Like that would be pretty cool to have as you're like on the case there.
Yeah, it's useful. It's not it's not going to be super. It's not super combat oriented, but that's okay. It really speaks to possibly social interaction, exploration of the game. The only thing I don't like about it is it's like, oh, this is for the seeker only. Yeah. I would have liked it if they worded that different and made it a ability that's like, hey, if you're playing a warlock, check this new pack
this becomes
out.
an option.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and every table has the ability to say, you know what, I'm gonna bend or ignore that rule.
Right, and these are all playtest anyway. This isn't canon per se.
Right.
So Astral Refuge is our 6th level ability,
which is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's definitely cool, and this is where we get back to where I said, a lot of the abilities to me feels like, it's all built off the Cleric's Sanctuary spell.
Right.
Which just basically lets you go into the astral plane to a safe spot. Basically, what is it? You have a round.
As an action, you disappear from the world for a brief moment and enter the astral plane, taking advantage of its timeless nature. While in your astral refuge, you can take 2 actions to cast spells that target only you. After those 2 actions, you return to the space you occupied and your turn ends. So the way I would look at it is it takes 2 rounds, or you're there for 2 rounds, but you're gone
instantly
and return. So it's almost as if you never left.
You know, it's so that is, it's pretty neat. But I noticed one thing is, Astral Refuge doesn't tell you the limit of numbers times per day. Like, I would go and assume it would be once per short rest that you could use this ability, but it doesn't specify in any of the wording. So that's a little bit just one thing.
Well, that must be that's got to be an oversight.
Yeah. No. So I would probably make it once per short or long rest,
which is probably how it works. So at first I was like, wow, this is a really well, maybe it's not. Maybe they're because there actually is kind of like a mitigating factor. Like, it still needs to be specified. There's technically a mitigating factor in the sense that you're a warlock and you really don't, like, you max out at 4 spells. Mm-hmm. So
How many spells do you have that you're
target
casting on
self.
yourself?
Yeah.
yes.
So, like, I think you had brought up off camera that this is where you could use True Strike
And
be
Blade
able to-
Ward.
and be able to have a couple spells listed on you, and you come back.
Or mirror image, if you have it.
Well, no, my point with Blade Ward and True Strike is I think they're useless cantrips. So, like, I don't feel like they have any benefit in the game, so I would never take them. But this one ability actually makes them useful.
So those 2 spells basically are only useful if you get the jump on someone, like something's coming and you get to ambush someone.
Yeah, because you're trading an action to do the thing. Like with True Strike, you could have literally, like, I've heard the argument. Well, if you're an Eldritch Knight, you can use a cantrip and attack. Well, that's great. You could have just attacked twice anyway. Or if you're a high enough fighter, you could have attacked 4 times and gotten 4 rolls that could have possibly hit 4 times instead of basically rolling once with 2, or rolling twice with a chance to hit once.
I gotta see if it's on the sorcerer's spell list or not, but actually with it costs an action to do True Strike, right? And that's the biggest problem
Yes,
of it.
yes.
Really, because if it was bonus action, a lot of the problems would be resolved. But you could quicken spell it and then make any spell that you have that has a targeting effect roll at advantage. So if it's like a mass damaging a spell effect, or if you have the lucky feat, then it becomes the best of 3 dice. So
Yeah, that is one use.
Yeah.
But again, it's when you have to use that many resources to make that one thing useful.
Yeah,
A
it's
cantrip.
It's kind of problematic.
To make
Yeah.
a cantrip useful.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. We could probably do like a whole video on Blade Ward and True Strike, but we won't in this one. So Far Wanderer, is that the awesome one? No, that's just a cool one.
No need to breathe. You gain resistance to fire and cold.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, that's a nice boon for anybody.
But it's not the best one. The Astro Sequestration is freaking amazing. It's literally like once a day you get to say, my whole party is taking a short rest in the middle of combat. And no time passes in the real world. Like,
Well, it takes 5 minutes to do this ritual. So if you want to go ahead and spend 5 minutes in the middle of a fight to get things underway, because you can take up to 10 willing creatures into the
I totally missed that
It's a
part.
5-minute ritual.
Oh, yeah, so never mind. That's useless.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Well, during combat it's useless. But
Yeah, so it gives you a safe place.
Yeah.
As long as you have 5 minutes.
As long as you have 5 minutes. All right, not nearly as cool as I thought. So,
But
it's not
like
useless.
any of those times we discussed, like trying to take PCs trying to take rest in hostile zones. This gives you an out to be able to do it pretty adeptly.
Yeah,
by 14th level.
as long as you get a breather for 5 minutes, you can be like, all right, we're able to take a short rest, even though mass chaos is going all.
All right,
all
you guys
around.
hold off the goblins. I'm going to do this ritual.
Yeah.
Goblins at 14th level.
Yeah, that was the funny part.
Yeah.
All right, so now we get to move on to the arcane tradition of Theurgy, or however you want to pronounce that word. Theurgy.
Theurgy.
Third G was right.
So you've got all right, we're gonna make a wizard, but we're gonna make him a religious wizard.
A wizard that tastes like cleric is really what it comes down to. At least that's what the dragon would say after he eats this wizard.
So basically, one of the very first thing you get is you getting access to a domain to the spells, right? You can now, whenever you gain spells, you can take 2 spells and add them from that domain to your spell book. Other wizards cannot scribe them out of your spell book. They're only for your eyes. They're for your eyes only, essentially. But what that does is that gives you access to spells that you normally wouldn't get. And then if you take all the spells from your domain, max them out into your spell book, you then have access to taking any cleric spell and putting it in your spell book when you gain them.
But I mean, so basically, you either have to be playing in a campaign that's coin rich, that you can start transcribing other spells that you're not getting by leveling, and you also have to have come across a shitload of scrolls and spell books as well.
Yeah.
It's a major trade-off. Like, if I were playing this, I'd probably only be taking like one domain spell a level or whatever. Like, I wouldn't try to bum rush filling my wizard spell book with cleric spells.
I don't know. I would want to fill them so I could get access to those higher level cleric spells.
But then you're not getting your wizard spells, so you're not like the core class that you wanted to actually play. You're not playing.
But you can, like, it's where you don't have the ability to get those cleric spells. You just don't. You can't because you're a wizard. But this says you can. Those other spells that you're worried about not being able to get, you can actually get them in the game. You're going to fight enemy wizards or find scrolls.
Sure, if your GM puts it in, like then you're relying on DM fiat to fill your spell book. And if your GM's like, yeah, I don't really want to worry about spell casters.
Well, if you're like any GM who has a wizard or more in his party and is not putting adversary wizards with their spell books,
or treasure or the ability to get. It's like having a fighter and be like, no, you can't buy swords.
No
we don't
swords.
have those.
It's really taking away from the class. The wizard is supposed to be the versatile caster because they have access to more spells than anyone.
Should have played the sorcerer, I guess.
So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. To what you're saying, the DM can screw over any character. It's true.
They would get the win at the end.
What else do we got? We got a Channel Arcana, which is the other second ability.
Which is essentially Channel Divinity. You get a couple options to deal with that.
Yeah, you get whatever the domain provides. And also this ability kind of scales as well. It's based off your spell casting ability as a wizard. As it goes up, it gets stronger.
And the DC is your wizard DC, not it doesn't say, oh well, you've got a low wisdom score because you went wizard. Sucks to be you.
No. You still get it. Channel Divinity goes up just like it would go up for the cleric as far as uses or whatnot. Don't forget the whatnot.
Yeah. Indeed. So Channel Arcana, Divine Arcana. As a bonus action, you can speak a prayer to control the flow of magic around you. The next spell you cast gets a +2 bonus to attack roll or saving throw DC as appropriate. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You can play bumpty with your channels.
It's kind of harkens back a little bit to 3rd edition with spell focus.
Right. Yeah, there was like half a second where I was like, well, wait a minute. But then I was like, well, the sorcerer's meta magic ability, a heightened spell, like this isn't even as good as that. So this is a pretty fair application.
At 6th level you can only do this twice. At 18th level you can do it 3 times between rests. Yeah. So you're not going to be bum rushing this all over the place. I think being able to bump the DC up by 2 is pretty nice.
Especially when you're using harm. You want to make sure you hit with that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hate that spell.
Ted has a special relationship with the harm spell.
I do.
He's been harmed in his past.
So at 6th level, Arcane Acolyte. At 6th level, you gain your chosen deity's 1st level benefits. However, you do not gain any weapon or armor proficiencies from your domain. So you got to wait quite a little bit before you get that domain powers. But I mean, if you went with knowledge, you're going to be getting access to expertise. I don't remember what light is off the top of my head. That one's not heavy armor, is it?
No, it doesn't matter. You don't get those.
Oh, okay.
It excludes weapons and armor.
Okay.
So the only thing you're gonna really the only thing you're gonna gain is whatever that ability is.
And also too, like it should be pointed out, like the 3 domains that are listed here are just recommended ones. Like you might end up taking the death domain because you could be a wizard who's all about that. So
and that's up to
discussion with the GM.
Yep. Yeah, or really like pour over the cleric aspect and life domain.
Yeah. Oh man. Yep.
Although I don't feel like that's really in the vein of this
class,
though I could be under the right circumstances.
Right. Yeah.
So we have Arcane Priest at 10th level.
And that's where you get the 6th level benefits.
Yeah, so you're always a little bit behind.
Except for the next one.
Yeah, until we get to that.
Until we get to Arcane High Priest.
At 14th level, now this is very specific. At 14th level, you gain your chosen domain's 17th level abilities. Your academic nature and understanding of magic and doctrine allow you to master this ability sooner than a cleric of your domain.
And it's what it says right in there. Sooner
Than a cleric. I'm like, wait a second. What?
Ryan was like, this is a typo.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, no, then you have to highlight the part.
Yeah, yeah.
Sooner than a cleric of your
The wizard just goes around at 14th level, like sticking his tongue out, like giving the raspberry to all the 17th level.
All the 16th levels.
16th level clerics. Yeah.
I was like, oh, you can't do this yet. I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just like to show up at the high priest parties and do it as a trick.
Yeah, they're like, oh, no bother, it's just because I'm better. Yeah.
Yeah, like, our God loves me more. Don't worry, He loves you too. Just loves me more.
Just lesser than. Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous.
So, all in all, I want to say that this Unearthed Arcana has some interesting options in it. I like them. There's nothing I would disallow from my game for them, but then again, I pretty much allow whatever. I don't care that
Play
much.
it loose and fast.
Yeah. So, why don't you guys let us know what you think about this Unearthed Arcana in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can support us over on Patreon.
You can check us out over on Instagram.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.